Hi everyone and welcome back to day 4 of my 12 Days of Christmas series for 2016. For today's video I'm going to be using a white card base and a stencil. So this Merry Christmas stamp that I'm using here is actually going to be on the inside of the card, and I'm going to be stamping that with one of the Hero Arts Ombre ink pads. This particular ink pad starts with the lightest colour of mint julep and goes through to emerald green. So with these types of ombre ink pads you want to make sure that you sort of move the stamp up and down across those lines of colour to make sure you get a nice smooth blend for your stamping. So that's what I've just done there and pressed that down. And I just love that sort of scripty Merry Christmas. I think this looks really nice on the front of a card as well. But for today's card, I decided to use it on the inside. So I'm just scoring that card base with my Teflon bone folder, and I'm bringing in the Ho 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 stencil from Simon Says Stamp. So I'm working on a Ranger non-stick craft sheet, and that's just going to make things easier when I start bringing in my my glitter and my ink and my texture paste. So I'm taping everything down with some post-it note tape. I'm probably being a little bit overcautious adding tape at the bottom and the top of this stencil, as it is actually big enough to cover this A6 size card base. So I'm just making sure that that's laying completely flat, and then I'm going to apply some more of that tape on the left hand side to make sure all of the front of the card is covered. I am a little bit messy when I'm working with texture paste or inks or generally just crafting, so I like to make sure that I've got everything that I don't want to get messy covered up. So I've got clear texture paste and I'm just smushing out some of the Candied Apple Distress ink onto my craft mat, and then I'm going to go ahead and mix this clear texture paste into that. So what you will find when trying to make a custom colour of texture paste, that the Distress ink or the re-inkers or whichever type of colouring medium you're using will actually end up being slightly lighter because it's trying to colour all of that texture paste, so it does dilute down a little bit. So once I've got this mixed quite nicely, I'm going to bring in some Ranger glitter. And this is, Stickles glitter, and this is I believe it's called Christmas Red glitter. So I'm mixing that in and it started to turn sort of a purpley colour. I think you can pick that up on the video there. The colour started to change. So what I did was I brought in some Fired Brick Distress ink and I mixed that through. And I really liked that. That gave more of a true red colour. So you can, if you're not happy with the shade that you're getting, you can just continue to add different colours of Distress ink until you're happy with the colour that you get. So I added a bit more of the glitter to make sure it's got a really nice shine, and I'm just smoothing that onto the stencil. So you'll see I do take quite a bit of time here smoothing it onto the stencil, more because I enjoy the process of pressing it in and then smoothing that all out to make sure it's nice and level. Because I did make so much of this texture paste, I actually went ahead and made 3 versions of this card. So I won't show them all in the video because they're all exactly the same, but because I had all that texture paste off to the side there, I decided that I would go ahead and just lay that stencil down onto another card base and just do the exact same thing again. If you work quite quickly, that's fine, but do be careful of the texture paste starting to dry on either your craft mat or the stencil or the spatula that you're using, because once it's dry it is pretty much impossible to get off. So I didn't have a problem with working, as I say, fairly quickly on 3 card bases. But then once everything was done, I did take all of my tools that had that texture paste on them straight over to the sink and washed all of that off. Okay, so after I'd washed that off, the texture paste was starting to dry on the front of the card, but I just made sure that I didn't touch any of that so I didn't smear it as I did the next step. And I took these fine foiled washi tapes. I got a set of these a while back and I just keep them on a ring together. I find with this particular foil tape that if you stretch it out before you press it down, you get the nicest look. So I've used the lines on my grid mat there just to make sure that my placement is nice and straight. And I stretch that foil tape before pressing it down onto the card. And then I'll just lift that up and cut off the edges. And essentially that is it for today's card. You'll see there's a bit of glitter stuck to the back there. I just wiped that away, no problem. And that is today's card finished. So we've got the ho 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 in the red glitter with that foil tape, and then the Merry Christmas ombre sentiment stamped inside. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do hit the thumbs up button or leave me a comment below to let me know that you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, you can catch up on my 12 Days of Christmas videos by checking out the playlist. So on the screen right now I have two other videos that I think you might enjoy. One is day 4 of my 2015 series, and the other is a video I think you might like. That's everything from me. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.